Tracy, did you want to say hi?
Hi, it's great to be here today. Thanks for having me. And I've been involved with Auctria for a few years, and I'm involved on the support side. So some of you I may have interacted with through the intercom or the help@auctria.com emails.
Awesome. Thanks, Tracy, for joining us. I appreciate it. So I'm always curious as to know who's on the line with us and what your auction status is. So I have a little quick question, a little quick survey here while we load in. I wanted to know if you could describe your Auctria knowledge. Tell me if I know nothing, teach me. I can log in, but I need help from there. Or I got the basics, or I've been using it for a while, but I can always learn more. And let me tell you, I've been using it for multiple years and I can still always learn more because our owner and founder is awesome and he's constantly adding features and new portions to the program that helps everybody fundraise better and smarter and quicker. So it looks like about half of the people have clicked in an answer. I'd love to hear from most of you. So just click the button. I can't see who's clicking what. It's just an overall percentage, but it's always interesting to see who's on the line with us. So I see a couple people have logged in also that says, I can hear you from Maryland, Church, awesome. Indiana World Relief, wonderful. Anybody else want to add in where they're clocking in from? That'd be awesome. I love to hear from our groups and where they're supporting from geographically and where they're supporting from and what cause is important to them and in their heart. So it looks like most people have voted. I'm going to click the end voting and share the results with you. It looks like most of you, over half, have got the basics down or you've been using it for a while. So that's really awesome. I appreciate it. And there's a few people that can log in or know nothing, teach me. So that's okay too. I hope that this presentation kind of answers all your questions as it's related to final bids, checkouts, credit cards, charges, and refunds. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Everything is in listen only, except for Tracy and I. Go ahead as we go along, drop any questions you have into the bottom right-hand corner into the chat box, and we'll pull them up after the presentation, answer any questions, respond to any comments. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, my name is Lori. I'm joined here by Tracy. I'm the marketing coordinator here at Auctria, and Tracy's one of our fabulous support team. Our goal is to help fundraising groups make the most out of their auction fundraiser. And this is part of an ongoing series of exclusive content from Auctria. So be on the lookout for additional topics, or if you have a topic that you want us to add to our next webinar series, drop us an email and we can always consider it with our next activities. So let's chat just for a second about an overview of Auctria. Founded in 2011 as charity auction organizer, we updated our name and logo to Auctria in 2016. Like many awesome tools, the program was designed out of need. We too were tired of paper bid sheets, unorganized tracking, long, cumbersome checkouts. Does any of this sound familiar? There had to be a better way. So our founder brilliantly developed Auctria from the ground up, taking into account the entire process of running an auction fundraiser, from the first donation to the last receipt and all the bidding in between. For some background, since its inception, Auctria has helped groups fundraise over $100 million. This has come by the way of 21,000 auctions, 1.6 million bidders, and over 1.4 million auction items. Still, every day is new, and we are always appreciative of feedback. Through the years, feedback has guided us in adding or improving features, such as the newest that was released, our Auctria mobile app, which is now available for download on both Apple and Android devices. So here's the agenda that we're going to go over today, and all the slides and resources will be available two ways. It'll be on the pop-up screen after the webinar closes, so you can save, favorite that web page. In addition, there will be a follow-up email that comes along that will have the recording and the slides as well. So we're going to talk about closing and checkout options within Auctria, and I'll give you a couple of my opinion and some tips as we go along. First, you got to start with your final bids and donations, and then we'll move on to checkout options, recording payments. We'll talk about split bids and linked bidders. We'll talk about receipts and statements, credit card charges and refunds, and reports. And like I said, we'll open it up to the questions at the end. So first, I just want to set the table and make sure we're all on the same page, figuratively and literally. Auctria supports integrated credit card transactions from 2 industry leaders, Stripe.com and Authorize.net. At this point, we're going to go ahead and assume that you've chosen a vendor and enabled this feature. If you need help with this, you can check out our user guide or reach out to our support team and they can help you through the setup process. So the event doors are about to open. Now what do we do? At in-person events, you can use Auctria to check bidders in as they arrive. Track attendees upon arrival is purely informational and does not affect the bidding activities. Some groups really want to stress less, and because tracking of the attendees is optional and offering pre-bidding registration online when purchasing tickets makes for an easy checkout after, you can prepare in advance your bidder numbers and table numbers and have some self-serve check-in. Some groups completely bypass this step. They just have greeters that direct attendees to a card table. Bidders or attendees find their table number and their bidder number, usually printed on a table card, or just post a master list in the receiving area. Then they only need to redirect those that are walk-ups or that have questions. Let's look closer at Auctria if you do want to do a formal check-in. This is what that looks like on the bidder dashboard. You're going to go ahead and click Check-in Bidders. To access bidder pages, you can find bidders on the left navigation bar, or you can always click the square on the top left-hand corner. You'll look for the blue square, the one with the 2 people. And I've indicated this on the tight little screenshot in the middle with the arrow to bidders. It's the pink square around it is the bidders. So what you want to do is click bidders, then click check in bidders. This will open the bidder check-in page. And like I said, this is not an Auctria system requirement and it's for your information only, but lots of groups like to use it. So you want to find the bidder that you are working on with the search bar. You can search by bidder name or ticket number. Click the radio button for which you want to manage the search by and start typing in the information. The list below immediately starts filtering for quick access. Now to actually perform the check-in, just click the open circle, which I've indicated here with a pink number 1 under checked in. After doing so, the open circle will now be a green filled in circle, and I've indicated a sample of what that looks like in the number 2. So the green dot is the indicator that the bidder has indeed checked in. This screen is really cool too because it shows the credit card status. If you do not require a credit card for online registration, but want to do so at checkout, here are the options. If there's a credit card on file, you'll see an icon with a row next to it. Excuse me, let me repeat that. If there's a credit card on file, you'll see an icon on the row next to the email address. If there is not a credit card on file, there will be a plus sign in that space. Clicking on it, you can add a card at this time if you want, and you can do so manually or with a swiper. When checking in, you want to give each person their bidder number, and if you are using table numbers, their table number. Here's a close-up of the search bar. Do a name search in the open search bar, select the bidder you want to check in, and then perform the check-in by clicking on the left Check in Select Bidders. I want to draw your attention to the credit card icon again. Like I said, on the right of the name is the credit card icon. If it's gray, there's no card on file. If it's colored, there is a credit card on file. If you want to ask bidders to add a card to their file for speedy checkout later, now would be a great time to do so. To save time in having to type credit card numbers into a payment system, you can use certain USB credit card readers to swipe the credit cards. This is important. USB credit card readers will work with desktop or laptop computers running Windows or Mac OS. USB credit card readers are not compatible, though, with tablets or smartphones. Heed this advice. USB readers do not appear to be standardized, so we can't guarantee that all brands will work. So we did the homework for you and can recommend a few brands and types. I'll give you the exact links, but we chose these because you only need the hardware swiper. No other software is needed to use these readers along with their website. And they're very reasonable. The ones that we recommend range from $18 for a purchase, or if you want to rent it, I think it's about $8 for 2 weeks with a $13 deposit. It is possible that manufacturers may change the specs from time to time. So it's good practice to install the readers with enough time to perform a test and trial run before your event. Let us know if you run into any issues. I also suggest performing the test at the location where your event is going to be, and make sure you have access to all the Wi-Fi and services that you would need. So let's get into auction closeout. Many ways that groups handle closeout, and many change from year to year based on their experiences. There is no right or wrong way here. I'll be sharing a multitude of options just so you know what your options are. Choose what fits best for your team and your audience. But the big picture is this. You want to record the final bid, purchases or donations. You want to collect payment. And then you want to provide a bidder statement via email, hard copy, or text. And there's some variables in here. But let's go over these a little closer. Recording final bids, I'm also referring to recording final purchases and donations. Recording the final bid closes the auction for that particular item. You can edit if necessary, and there's 2 ways to do this: by accessing each item separately or using the quick bid page. You also want to record any purchases or donations prior to final statements. Collecting and recording payment, you can do so systematically with Auctria, like I said, if you're using one of our integrated card services. If not using integrated card services, you can mark them as paid if they're providing cash, check, or an offline credit card. And the purpose of recording an offline payment is so that your financial records for both you, the admin, and the bidders are accurate, making all your final reports accurate as well. Collection processes vary also, but fall into 2 major buckets. If a card is on file, lots of groups like to use batch checkout. If a card is not on file, you'll have to notify the bidder at either a traditional checkout desk or use the Auctria system to notify with a statement and a final amount due. You can do this in a couple different ways: email, text, or print. If you choose to email statements, there's a quick pay link provided, and bidders can pay via credit card without having to interact with an auction admin. The bidder record will be marked as paid. If you want to use a traditional checkout desk, you can distribute printed statements, and the bidder will give you a form of payment, recorded in Auctria, then mark as paid. Now for the distribution of auction items. This is at your discretion. You might want to ask the bidder to show a paid receipt, then retrieve the auction goods, or some large groups let everybody leave with their auction items. This gives her a quick exit at the event. Then they run payments the following day. There may be a few cards declined or that they have to catch up with people, but they're easily resolved one-on-one. So let's look at each of these pieces a little closer. You want to record a final bid from either the individual item page or the record bid page. This is your main page to record bids, purchases, and donations for single entries. Just click across the top to toggle from one activity to the next. Record bids, purchases, or donations. Most bids are recorded. You will be recording only the final bid. Typically, this is the case in silent or live auctions. Click the item to activate the drop-down menu. Start typing an item number or name. And this filters the list quickly. Find the item you want to work with, enter the final bid amount. The final bid box should have the correct default based on this item here. Generally, there's no need to alter this. If you're recording payment at the same time, just stay on this page and continue moving down to the next fields for payments. Most groups favor the quick bid entry page for recording lots of final bids at once. The quick bid entry page is designed to enable you to rapidly enter winning bids during an event when you know three things: the item number, the bidder number, and the amount. Rather than offering item and drop downs, it just has text boxes to input the values and is optimized for keyboard use. Typically, this is when all the silent auction bid sheets have been collected and you want to power through the stack. Here's how that looks in Auctria. This is an example of the quick bid entry page. To access this page, click on Bidding Sales. Then under Bidding, you will find, as indicated by the red rectangle on the left, Quick Bid Entry. You'll see a screen that looks like the one to the right. So, step 1, you want to type in the item number, hit tab. Step 2, type in the bidder number, hit tab. Step 3, input the dollar amount, hit tab. Step 4, click the record button and move to the next auction item. You can move through this a heck of a lot quicker than I even just explained the steps when you're doing it this way. Quick bid entry, as you can tell, makes for quick work for loading the final bids. You may want to practice this on the Auctria demo. This keeps your auction data nice and clean and gives you a chance to try out the quick bid page and train volunteers. Quick bid entry also has a super cool time-saving pin feature. You can pin, P-I-N, to the top of the quick entry an item, a bidder, or an amount. In this example, I used one of our demo auctions and I pinned the spring fundraiser donation item. Now you can just roll through, add the bidder number and a dollar amount, and click record. The spring fundraiser item will remain pinned to the top of the quick entry form so that you can continue posting to the pinned item. I hope you can clearly see here how this would be great for a paddle raise or working on lots of purchases for a single bidder. Here's a view with a few of the quick bids logged in. Each time you hit the record button, the bids are finalized and then they drop down to the bottom half of the screen and collect in a table. The system provides a clean and cleared form for the next quick entry. Using the keyboard to record the final bids and use the tab button to maneuver to the next field and enter to record makes this a favorite page for the admins to record final bids. Let's talk about checkout options. Checkout is synonymous with payment collection. You can check out the bidders en masse with our batch checkout or as singles. There is no right or wrong here. Whatever works best for your group and whatever works best for your situation. If you have credit card processing enabled, you can quickly process multiple checkouts at once for all bidders that have credit cards registered to their account. The batch checkout will process a payment equal to the outstanding balance for each bidder. or you can do an individual checkout if it's a better match for your event timetable. Let's talk a little bit more about batch checkout. All action activity has ceased. You can do a batch checkout. It's an immediate collection feature. Bidders with registered cards will be processed all at the same time. And because it's an immediate collection feature, let me remind you that you should make sure that all the bids are loaded accurately prior to hitting the batch checkout button. Have a second person, a quality check, double check your bids and make sure that they're loaded in accurately. It's so easy to make a keystroke error. Do a double check for your final bids, your donations, and purchases, so you don't have to go back and revise and alter payments afterwards. Here's how this looks inside Auctria from the admin pages. After clicking Batch, select the bidders that you want to perform the batch checkout for. A list of bidders that have an outstanding balance and a registered card will appear in your list. To include all the bidders in the batch checkout, select the top checkbox so that all the bidders will be checked. This is typically how you would want to do this. If for some reason you want to select specific bidders to include or exclude in the batch checkout, select the checkbox for the bidders you want to include. All the bidders with a green check will be included in the batch checkout. When the correct bidders are selected, click Check Out Bidders. A green bar appears to show that the payments are being processed. This is literally one of the most exciting parts of your auction. You start to see all your funds roll in, and it warms your heart to know that those dollars are going to go to your great cause. If for some reason you need to cancel checkout, there's a button for that too. To cancel the batch checkout, click Cancel Checkout. The current payment will be completed, but Auctria will not process any additional payments. Payments that were already processed will not be canceled. When checkout is complete, a success message will appear at the top of the page for a few seconds. The payments that were processed show status, and the status would be processed, and a transaction confirmation appears in the charge column. If there was an error processing a payment, an error message will appear in that spot. Each payment is processed independently, so errors for one bidder do not impact charges for others. When batch checkout is complete, you can view the transaction confirmations with codes and view any outstanding balances. And just for note, for linked bidders, only a single charge will be processed for the total that they owe. If batch checkout is not your thing, that's okay. You can check out bidders on an individual basis. From the checkout page, choose bidders you're working on, choose the payment method, and that would be either the registered card, a credit card if it's just a one-time payment and they're giving you a card right then and there, or other, which would be a cash or a check. Then click the big blue Make Payment button. Let's take a closer look at each of these options. Payment method register card is the most obvious. As you can see, this is the first tab. If you're using this method, click the tab, click on then on the left, click the big blue Make Payment button. Payment method credit card is a one-time credit card recording. You can either type in the credit card numbers or swipe them like we talked about earlier. Then the next step is to click on the big blue button that says Make Payment. Payment method other is where you can record check or cash if you're using an offline credit card system. Then I bet you can answer the next step. Click on the big blue button that says Make Payment. So this is a good time to visit the handling of credit card fees also. You have two choices in handling credit card fees. The organization can absorb the credit card fees, or you can surcharge the bidder for the credit card fees. There's a couple schools of thought here too. Consider the credit card fees as the price of doing business, and you don't want to nickel and dime your generous donors. Or donors may actually want to make the donation whole, knowing that there are credit card fees involved. The default credit card fees handling mode in Auctria is set to normal. This means the organization will absorb external credit card processing fees and not pass these fees on to the purchaser. Surcharge mode is where the bidder is charged for the fees, so that the deposit you receive will match the amount of the original purchase and what is owed. In normal mode, the bidder is not charged the amount above the purchase price to include the additional processing fee amounts. However, when bidders receive their request for payment, they have the option to voluntarily pay extra towards offsetting the credit card fees. This then becomes a choice on behalf of the bidder. Some groups think that this is kind of the sweet spot in deciding whether or not to absorb or surcharge credit card fees. As an overview, you can see all financial activity for a bidder on the bidder transaction page. You can see the current balance, which includes an itemized list of items won, purchases, and donations. Total owing is the outstanding balance due, and total paid shows if any payment activity has taken place. The bidder transaction shows the status of all transactions, so you get a nice overview with roll-ups for the current balance, purchases, total owed, and total paid. This is what that screen looks like. Let's talk about partial balances here, because everything we talked about is whole balances, but perhaps you want to process a partial payment. Yes, you can do this too in Auctria. For partial payment, there will be a remaining balance, of course, so you'll want to record the payment for the balance to another bidder. Click the amount under this payment, enter a partial amount, and repeat the processing of these steps. And then perform the same collection procedure as before. Credit card on file, enter or swipe a credit card, or record offline payments. Lots of times we bump into multiple bidder checkouts. Actually, not lots, but every once in a while. Multiple bidder checkout is useful when two friends are paying together. The overall flow is this. You select the bidder that's being paid for by the payment. If it's necessary, you can adjust this payment if there's a partial, like we were talking about, and then make the payment as normal. During this process, the whole amount due will be shown. If bidder 1 is making a partial payment, enter the dollar figure, and then when adding the second bidder, the remaining balance will roll forward. Continue to add bidders and enter partial payments until you have complete total for the transaction. Then you can collect the payment as you would otherwise, credit card on file, swipe, cash, check. This is what that process looks like in Auctria. Choose the first bidder by bidder number or start typing the name. The bidder list will start filtering. Click to choose the bidder you want to work with. Then enter payment information. The default is the whole amount. However, like I said, you can edit that to a partial amount. Now you want to add another bidder to the transaction. Move the cursor to the select bidder field and search for the next bidder. And then add the bidder, continuing doing this for as many times as needed. This feature is really convenient when a friend forgot their credit card and another friend is very generous in agreeing to make the payment for them. I need a friend like that. You can have multiple bidders that share a single bidder number. When a bidder is added to the checkout page, all linked bidders will be included automatically. When bidders are linked, a single payment will be processed for all bidders that share the bidder number. If there are multiple registered cards, then only one of them will be charged. All activities from the bidders that share a bidder number will be displayed on the printed or emailed bidder statement, and an email statement will be sent to each bidder individually. Every once in a while, you'll bump into a few bidders that have pooled together to bid on and have won an auction item. This usually happens with a high-ticket item or an experience, such as a vacation house split a couple different ways. You can easily manage this process through the split bid page. On the checkout page, you want to select the bidder that won the item as normal, then click on the transactions, and then now to split. Click on the split icon, which I have circled in yellow and red there. Next to the bid you want to split. This is to the right of the item 1 that you're splitting the bid. Choose the bidder or bidders to split with. The split bid page will show the current winning bid for the item and let you select the bidders to split it amongst. By default, the page will split the bid amount evenly, but you can disable that by unclicking the auto calculate and entering the manual figures. After selecting the bidders to split the item with, click on the split bid. This page will show the result of the split operation. Now remember, this only splits the bids. The next step still remains where you'll have to collect and record payments. Statement usage. You can use these for payment collection or receipts. Statements are an integral part of the auction closeout and checkout, and it can be used for payment collection process in an active fashion or simply serve passively as a final communication. By the way, you can email or text statements to bidders at any time. You can choose to do so after all final bids are recorded and providing a payment link, or choose to do so after final payments to serve as a final receipt. Let's examine these a little closer also. On the bidder dashboard, select Statements. This is where you'll choose all the options for statement and payments. Choose to print either a single statement or multiple statements. Statement options are worth discussing a little bit here too. You can customize the statement options that affect all statement types. You can include item values, the winning bid, you can show tax deductible, you can show bidder number. It's worth talking about statement cutoff start times too. You can enter a date or time here, and the statement will only show activity after this time. This can be really useful to limit the contents of the statement to the activity during the event itself and exclude any pre-event ticket sales, for example. Statements and payment options. You can also set payment options here too. My favorite feature is the online payment link. In order to utilize this, there's 2 requirements to make it work. You'll need credit card processing enabled, and it requires a website to be set up for the event. To generate bidder statements, like I said, you can either do so individually or in bulk. For a single bidder, you can use the button under Communications on the bidder page details page, or you can generate bidder statements for multiple bidders at once using the bidders statements page. Here are 2 examples of statements, and this is where you have a bunch of options also. During the auction preparations, brand your emails with your logo, brand your stationery with your logo, and messages are really easy to use on the statements also. A lot of groups will add a save the date for your next event or remind bidders to follow you on social media. The statement is a great vehicle to place important messages. Another frequently asked question that comes across our support team's desk is regarding payment errors. Look, sometimes mistakes happen and you may need to delete a payment. Occasionally it happens when charging a credit card and you'll need to issue a refund. Here's how that goes. For example, a bidder may end up getting their card charged twice for the wrong amount because a purchase was recorded more than once. If a payment was recorded as other payment, meaning not processed as a credit card charge, then you can delete it from the activity tab of the bidders page. Next to each non-credit card charge, there'll be a red X, and you can use that to just simply delete it. However, credit card payments cannot be deleted. Instead, they must be refunded. And I'll send you, actually will be attached to this, is a full video tutorial. It's about 2.5 minutes long on how to do a credit card refund step by step. But essentially, refunding a charge from within Auctria, you can do so either as full refund or a partial refund. You want to find the bidder that you're working on, click on the activity tab, and you'll see all the past charges. To the right on the credit card line, you will click Refund. A pop-up confirm charge refund window will appear. If you want to refund a full charge or a partial amount, select the correct option, and if necessary, enter the amount for the partial refund. To really make sure this is what you want to do, there is a safety. When you're ready, type yes in the text box. Click the save icon, which is the check mark. When the refund has been successfully processed, the bidder activity will show a negative fee charge under purchases and a refund payment. The original payment will show as refunded and not be available for another refund. Reports are really important post-event. Reports are real-time in Auctria, provided the information that you've loaded is accurate and in real time. You can run reports on items, donors, bidders, financials, and you know we always got to include other. You can add or delete columns. You can filter a report view, and everything is presented in an easy-to-use grid that you can see on your computer screen. Or you can download as an Excel file, a PDF, or a CSV. And yes, you can get more. After choosing the report that most closely aligns with what you're looking for, you can click on the Options menu. The Options menu is that vertical oval I have there. It's the 3 vertical dots that gives you access to more advanced features. Choose columns. This is where you can add or delete columns almost till your heart's content. You can also save your favorite views or make this the default view for you or for the organization. And I want to step back here because this harkens back to when people ask us, do we really need to give each person their own login? Well, it does help, especially when you want to preserve your report formats. Report filters and sorts are great tools also. Depending on the report, there may be 1 or more drop-down selectors which work as filter controls. Those are little circles, the little orange circles in the middle. That's for the controls for the data being displayed. You can filter and sort to get you a more organized cursory view of the data. There are about 20 user guide articles regarding reports, and there are about 20,000 configurations the groups use to review their auction data and performance. I'll just summarize some of the high points and give you the knowledge to explore and implement as you see fit. After clicking the report category, you'll find pre-built reports that will cover almost all your needs. However, we know you always want more, and that's where the add columns comes in. I want to point out the most frequently used reports for credit card financials. There's 2 credit card reports available that you're going to want to use. The first one is credit card charges. This shows all the charges that have been made. And the second one is credit card summary. This is the total of all charges by their mode and status. Both of these reports are available from the main credit cards page under Actions. After you run any report, you can double-click on any row to drill down for more details, or export any report with the Action button. You can choose your preferred format, whether it's a PDF, Excel, or CSV. I guarantee these will make your treasurer very happy. So this is a quick view of the links that I'll have available for you. And I know I gave you lots of options for the final checkout process. With over 21,000 auctions, you can understand how many groups want to do things their way. Auctria was built and we continue to update to accommodate the frequent requests that have come across our desks throughout the years. So you may choose just one format to process checkout. However, there's lots of options should you want to change your mind in the future. A quick view of the links referred to are here. Like I said, no need to jot them down. And when I close out, it'll go to a web page that'll have them also. So you can save that, favorite it, keep it for safekeeping and for sharing with the rest of your team for playback. And just so that you know, we are active on social media. We post daily to Facebook and Twitter. On Pinterest, our boards have over 500 pins, and they go either to direct donation request pages, or they go to tips and tricks and fundraising type activities. So follow us on all three. You can always email us hello@auctria.com, help@auctria.com. You can always access us through the in-app messaging tool, and you can always access the demo, www.auctria.com/demo. And that's a great place if you want to do some training or mess around with some of the features and don't want to risk making any errors to your data. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions from the chat box and start to power through these and answer some questions. As we go along, please feel free to drop any questions you have into the bottom and we'll be happy to go over them. I'm just going to start at the top, and I see, oh, lots of people marking in where they came from. Thank you so much. It's so great to see all the locations. Okay, so if I'm pronouncing this properly, I'll go with Leanne. If doing a batch checkout, will the bidders receive an email statement automatically with their total charges? Tracy, did you want to answer that?
Yes. So sending out email statements actually is a check mark that can be clicked that you want them to be sent out or not. So if we were to look at the batch checkout screen, it is an option that you would have to be able to do.
Awesome. Thank you. I hope that answers your question. Leanne, if not, drop another note in here. Anna says, in testing bid entry, we check a left side box to notify winner. This is sending an email, but we would rather send it in text. How do we alter that?
So in the automated, you can send statements out by text if you have text as part of your package. It is an additional fee. And so then you can, under the bidder, send text statements out as well. If that's something that you've signed up for.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, so I apologize if I don't. Munira, is there a fair market value on the receipts?
I'm not sure what fair market value is, like in the context here, but there would be, the idea that there's the value and the, what was paid. And we also kind of have a taxable value. And so you may want to look in our user guide on our statement options, because you can display different values, and especially if you're planning to use it as a donation form. That is an option. So often when it has value but people paid more, they will highlight the difference of that, and that is possible to do on the statements.
Awesome. Thanks for clarifying that. Leanne types in, we find that there are often errors when bidders check out, so I'm leery of doing batch checkout. Can we do a batch email with the statement, and then if they are okay with the amount, they can just click to pay via their phone?
Yes, that is an option and can work very well, like you said, in in many scenarios. So if you can send the batch statements, and that can include a payment link where they would click through the link and then pay the amount owed. And they'll see their statement as well from what is in the email, but also when they click through to their ID.
That's a great way to do it, because then they can kind of get a cursory view, and if they see any glaring errors, they can come up to the admin desk, ask for clarification before they click the pay button. So that's a nice way to do it.
Yeah, we've actually done that in one of the auctions that we help with, and it allows people in advance to make sure that they have everything that they were expecting to have.
Right. I see a couple more typing in now, so I'll give it a little minute here to refresh so that we can make sure that we include everybody's information here. I see there's people coming in from Edmonton and Long Beach and Idaho and Texas and Olympia, Washington, Sandy Springs Heritage. There's such a large variety of people. Okay, so there's one more question that comes in. Where did you say I could look up about fair market value?
Yes, that would be on our user guide under bidder's statements. And I can, if you want to drop me a line, there's actually, or an email afterwards, there's be a few ways that can happen, but it would be under, can this be used as a donation receipt? Your bidder statement as well is one of the questions that gets asked and responded to in the user guide. And receipt value would be another one that you could include as well. So, but the actual term, that you would want to look under in the user guide is taxable value.
Right. And just a shout out to our user guide. We've recently updated it, and it's very searchable now, and it automatically filters the topics that are relevant to it. So you can quickly scan the one that you want to click into also. So like Tracy said, if you get stuck on that, drop us an email or in-app messaging. I'll be happy to redirect you to something very specific and help you come to a solution for that. I'll give people just a couple more seconds here if you wanted to add another question or comment into the comment box here, please do so. And if not, we'll go ahead and we'll sign off and dump you to the website pages. Tracy, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, this has been great. It's really great that everybody could join in. And again, we try to make our user guide helpful. So if you are not finding something, definitely drop us a line, ask a question. And we're also always looking for suggestions, and we love to hear how your event went.
I love to hear how events went. You're absolutely right there. Thank you for saying that. And you know what, that's a really good note. If you want to have us share your event on social media, just tag us at Auctria, either on Facebook or Twitter, and we'll be happy to do that. If you tag us, I'll get a notification, and I'll be happy to reshare and like it and all that. So I'm guessing there's no other questions coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and click the off button and thank everybody for their time, and especially thank you, Tracy, for your time too.
No, thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a great week.